Hey guys, this is Riz and welcome to my channel. For this week's content, medyo kakaiba to guys because we'll be talking about how to prepare for LET or licensure exam for teachers. So if you are someone who's planning or considering to take the licensure exam for teachers soon, this video is for you. So, nabanggit ko sa past videos ko na currently I am preparing to take an examination for licensure for teachers. Hindi ako edu major, but just quite recently, I took a few units for me to qualify for the LET. Tip number 1. Consider enrolling in a review center. So, kung afford mo naman na magpa-enroll sa isang review center, might as well grab that opportunity. So, whether matalino ka or not, there's nothing wrong with enrolling in a review center. While there is no assurance na makakapasa ka talaga because of that review center, your test-taking skills would eventually help you do well in your examination. And maybe you'd think na, matalino na ako, or you thought that you did quite well when you were still in the university. Still, consider enrolling yourself in a review center, because just like in the review center that I enrolled in, there was this specific specialized section where a lot of stellar students belong to, and they get extra and advanced lessons because ang goal nila is not just to pass the examination but also to secure a position on the top 10. Tip number 2. Whether you enrolled yourself in a review center or not, still consider finding a study group and develop a culture of accountability. Whether you meet every now and then physically or virtually, that's okay as long as you have someone to check up on you, whether you are still motivated to study or not anymore. And most of the time, it feels nice to find or belong in a circle where you have the same goals and going through the same struggles. Tip number 3. You have to set your very own goals and try to reach them. Because sometimes the down thing with having a circle of friends who have the same goal as you do, medyo mapapressure ka to study on the same pace as they do. But you have to understand na iba't iba yung pacing natin as people. Probably you're slower than them or faster than them. Pero either ways, you have to set your own goals and try your very best to reach them. Tip number 4. You have to make harmless and wise sacrifices. What I mean is that, as for me, kasi by the time that I was already preparing for the licensure exam, I was at the same time working as a government employee. And so I had to make decisions to approach this matter seriously. So I had to find a dormitory na malapit lang sa review center ko and at the same time malapit lang rin sa workplace ko. I had to make that decision kasi napapansin ko na napapadalas na yung pag-uwi ko sa bahay na bagsak sa kama and wala nang nabibigay na time for myself and personal review. At pagising ko sa umaga, I would find myself really tired and eventually that would have a domino effect sa trabaho ko. I wouldn't have this optimum energy to give my all sa mga deliverables ko when it comes to my work. So because I settled with renting out or secure a place in a dormitory, mas nagkakaroon pa ako ng nap time in between my work schedule and my review center schedule kapag kinagabihan. So that way, mas relaxed yung brain ko kasi hindi ako ganun kapagod. And therefore, mas madami akong makukuha sa review. So I don't know with you kung ano yung mga arrangements and adjustments that you have to do and you have to sacrifice to get the most of your review season. Tip number 5. Never ever be shy to ask for help and ask questions to your classmates or seatmates sa review center. So if you are someone like me na hindi talaga graduate ng education, therefore there's still a lot of things and fields na hindi ako familiar with when it comes to education. Ang laking tulong ng mga naging kaibigan ko sa review center. So shout out sa kasitmates ko sa review center, yung mga taga-UM dyan, hindi ko na kayo may isa-isa pa. Pero ang laking tulong niyo sa akin, especially when there are specific items na hindi ko talaga magets dahil nga hindi ako edu major. And even on simple things like reminding you sa schedule and siguro catching up on the readings or studies that you have to do. Ang laking tulong ng mga seatmates mo sa review center. Kasi alam niyo na, there are times na you'd really find yourself na sabaw na with everything that's going on with your life and you forget na, may kailangan pala kayong pag-aralan na specific thing or may kailangan pala kayong i-memorize na mga specific items. So, yeah, those friends would come in handy in the worst of times, and you have to make sure to also be of help to them when they need your help the most. Tip number 6. So the next step would be to develop your own study schedule and make sure to adjust them every now and then. Siguro someone like me is very idealistic when it comes to my study schedule. Sometimes I plan things out na hindi ko naman pala talaga kaya. Especially nowadays that I'm still working, there are a lot of nights or days na nakakaligtaan ko na mag-keep up with the study schedule that I made myself. Medyo na-delay or nabe-behind ka na sa mga scheduling mo, make sure to readjust your schedule to make up for your desired outputs. Tip number 7. The last tip would be to diversify your study materials. Don't just stick with one specific reviewer. So if you know a lot of edu majors or even teachers, borrow their materials if possible. Well, it is nice to buy your own review materials. Kasi nga, diba, you could scribble on them and do things that you want on those specific reviewers. Pero the thing with borrowing kasi, you'd have this kind of positive pressure kasi mas mamomotivate ka na tapusin yung reviewers na hiniram mo. And at the same time, mas makakatipid ka. And bonus pa dyan is that mas marami kang makukuha or diversified yung study materials mo kasi you didn't stick with the specific kind of reviewer. So those are the tips that I could recommend for you guys to do, for you to prepare for the licensure exam for teachers because I am doing them myself. So God willing, makapasa rin ako guys at dito natin mapoprove kung effective ba talaga itong mga tips that I came up with through this video. And promise, I'd make sure to update every now and then kung ano na yung mga ganap sa journey ko towards passing the licensure exam and eventually become a licensed professional teacher. So God bless everyone. This has been Riz with you and praying for blessings and peace. God bless.